Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell.
Yo, be a father. If not, why bother, son? A boy can make them, but a man can raise one. Be a father to your child. Be a father to your child.
And we're live.
Yo, episode 5, the Fatherhoods podcast.
Actually, episode 7. No, this is episode 7, guys.
Let's start over again. Let's start over.
Yeah, let's start over.
It's all right. I'm recording. I can edit it out. Or not. It's all right.
Yo, we keep saying that.
Actually, real quick.
We got daddy brains.
You can edit this if you want to, but it's funny because on the last Drink Champs episode, was it Drink Champ? One of these episodes, Revolt on the YouTube version put everything before we thought we were filming, where we were like, they had the slate, and we were like, oh, we got a slate now. Oh, shit. And I was like, oh, man, they put all of that?
Yeah, I heard that. I mean, the raw shit is kind of fly.
Yeah.
Like, people like that.
No, I know, but we didn't know we were filming. But go ahead.
All right, so we're on. What's up, everyone? Episode
what up?
7. Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to make two notes before we totally dive in. One is my wife just heard episode 1, and she liked it, by the way. But I felt like a dumbass because we were listening to it. She was listening to it, and then near the end of the episode, we're talking about when we were having, where we were when our kids were born.
Yeah.
And I said something about like just something about when he was born. I'm like, oh, who is this guy? It's because I've been, hanging out with him in your belly for like 12 months. And then she looked at me. She goes, what am I, a dolphin in gestation for 12 months? She's like, it's 9 months.
Oh, I didn't even catch you saying 12 months.
And I didn't even catch it right now. I'm just like,
yeah. So
you just said this. She's a mammal of it. She's like, not with a real name, but I didn't even catch the actual month being wrong.
So yeah, we're pros here. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
pregnancy is 9 months, not 12 months.
Like we say at Drink Champs, it's drunk facts. So here it's, I don't know what we would call this.
Called
Baba facts.
Daddy brain facts.
My wife actually brought up something as well. Like, she was saying how, I can't remember which episode it was that we mentioned this, but we were talking about what happens when you go away for work or what have you.
Yeah.
And I missed this. I totally forgot about this. So she was like in 2nd or 3rd grade, and we were out in California. And she, like, her teacher came to my wife and was like, look, your daughter's like suffering some anxiety in class. Like, is everything okay at home? And actually, no, she came and said, I know your husband is traveling more often nowadays. And she voiced that. So the teacher just took action. She kind of incorporated like a monkey, like a stuffed animal, happened to be a monkey. And that was something I would take with me. It didn't happen often, but I would take it with me on a trip, and I would photograph the monkey like in whatever city I was in. So I would like if I was in New York visiting, I would, put the monkey somewhere that you knew it was New York and then snap a flick. And that was something that...
Spank the monkey.
See? I knew it was going now.
I wasn't thinking of that.
Never mind.
Nah, but it was cool because to reel it back in now. So it actually worked, and it worked very, really quickly because I didn't get a chance to go on tour with him all that much. But it was an interesting piece of experience that I forgot about.
Nice.
Yeah. Indeed.
Segue.
I just expanded my screen, and you guys are fucking the biggest talking heads right now.
You're welcome.
And then the second thing, so last episode 6, we had our first guest. So I want to shout out again to Static Selective for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
And then and I thought for the most part, I'm guessing that most people who would listen to this podcast probably knows who our guests are. And we didn't really, we
hope so.
We would think so, yeah. But we didn't really do any kind of intro. We just kind of jumped right in, and I'm kind of feel that's the way to do it anyway. But regardless, just for people who know, Static is a pretty prolific producer, DJ, been in the game for a minute, and so I think when we get into our guests, maybe we probably should give a quick backstory.
And we have a guest today as well later on in the show.
Yep. So we'll have another guest, and hopefully we'll do a better job at a quick backstory.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got for announcements.
You got any cleanups on your end, EFN?
Of like feedback that stuff has been wrong.
or that you've said or you've misquoted yourself. Like I totally forgot.
I mean, remember, I don't listen to the show, so I wouldn't know. Now, the only time I catch anything is if my girl's listening and I'm just, within earshot of whatever she's listening. That's why I know what she was listening to yesterday or today, actually. No, I mean, she hasn't really said anything that, and I haven't heard anything. I mean, I just think that it's important that we don't. Well, first of all, we should let people know, the listeners. I mean, I don't know if legally we have to do this, but we are definitely not experts. In fact, we're doing this because we're not experts, and we're trying to figure things out by talking to each other, which we were doing before we started the podcast. And this is kind of the reasoning, or what's the word that I'm looking for? The
reason why this even exists.
That's not the word I was trying to look.
Well, we know what you're talking about.
Whatever. So, the inspiration is what I was looking for. Inspiration.
Eso mismo, brother. Same thing.
See. But yeah, so it's important that people know that we're not experts, so we're not liable if don't stick up.
Yeah, if you put your kid in bed without a diaper and there's a big mess, don't blame us. we're just passing along info.
We're just trying to figure it out as well. So as a matter of fact, we encourage anybody listening to this to go on our Instagram or on our Twitter feed or hit us up individually and let us know like what's worked for them, advice that they might have. Let's have a discussion about it, because like I'm a new father. I have a baby. You guys have children a little bit older, but I think we're all still learning as we go along, and it's important that we kind of build this community. That's the whole point of this.
So I actually have something to jump in with, and Manny kind of directed at you since you have an older daughter. She's 11, right?
Yeah, she's the elder.
Right.
Yeah, 11.
Made her sound like Gandalf. Yes.
So which, by the way, she's babysitting right now because my 2-year-old is asleep and hopefully won't wake up, but she probably will soon.
Nice.
So your question, sir?
Yeah. So it's really just kind of learning on my end to navigate through the changes of a child.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, because like we never went through terrible twos or any of that kind of stuff, but there was always this whole thing of, you'd start to get into a normal flow with your kid at a certain, whatever age they are, and everything's kind of seemed to be normal, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, the child changes even just a little bit, and then your whole routine or your whole flow of like how you do things changes, and then you have to adapt to it, and then and like figure it out on
and you're saying that didn't happen in the UK?
Well, no, I mean it did. It's constantly happening, but what I'm saying is like I never really had like the terrible two, like those kind of like big meltdowns, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But what I am noticing now is just, and I think it's just due again to him being older and being in a kindergarten situation, learning more, being around a bunch more different personalities and people and everything, is that I'm having more times of like difficulty, or just like trying to navigate through this kind of new awareness that he's having, and I have to remind myself like, dude, I'm dealing with a 6-year-old. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm just curious, and Manny, like how a parent have, from when your daughter was like 3 up to 11, how apparent were the changes? Yeah, because I mean, even like trying to get him to tell me stuff or tell us stuff about his school day, like he didn't even want to. And I'm thinking, damn, that's supposed to start later on. Like, does it really start this early? So I need some insight on that.
Yeah. So here we go. Sorry. I got something brewing here that probably not going to be able to speak too much. So we've had phases like you described that you haven't had. We've definitely had them, and starting with my 11-year-old, she didn't quite have the terrible twos. It was kind of like a 2 to 4, if that makes sense, right? So, well, I wasn't there for the 2 part, but when I came into the picture, late 3s, it was still happening, and it was
So you had
violent.
terrible 2s and 3s.
So my wife told me, before we got together, it started at the 2 mark, but it proceeded to about deep into the year 4 of her life. So it was a 2-year spread.
That scares me.
So no, wait till I tell you about the other 2. You're gonna think twice about everything. So it was wild, but you started to see the pattern, right? So your situation, Kay, I think is harder because there was never a pattern. And now that pattern might start to develop now at this age, but it's going to evolve so quickly because of how quickly he's, kindergarten to first grade, there's a big jump and different things are coming down the pipe. So for us, I would say it was a lot smoother, even though they were violent and erratic, but it almost always was tied to a need for rest at, from 2 to 4. So it was like, as soon as that violence hit or that brattiness came about, it was like you could do 2 things. You could wild out with them, or you can remove them from whatever that situation is. Typically for us, it was like, all right, strap them in the car, let's go for a ride. And in, 20 minutes or so, kid was knocked out. When they came to, it was like a completely different child. So that's what happened with her. My son, he started his terrible stage at 1. And that didn't really dissipate until about 3. So we've been fortunate to have 2-year stints and not like the typical just the age of 2.
But so like with your daughter, with the older daughter, going through school, how have you? I mean, how noticeable have the changes in? By the way, we're all on Skype video and we're being ridiculous right now. So.
Yo, what's the name of that dance, E?
The Macarena.
Every time I see this,
so E's doing the Macarena while we're talking. Just
Macarena. What's that shit called? Is it not the Kiki? I don't know what that is.
Oh, the floss.
The floss?
No, that wasn't the floss.
The floss. Okay.
The one with the fist pump, I don't know what the hell it's called.
Sorry, Kay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So, I mean, so going through, like, the whole school transition, and, I mean, how easy was that for you to navigate or realize, like, okay, she's in a different phase now. How are we going to adjust to this? How do we kind of react to some of the things she's doing or not doing, or, she didn't used to do this kind of stuff? Like, have you encountered a bunch of that? I'm assuming it's just constantly an ongoing thing.
So with my oldest, it's always been better than we anticipated.
Okay.
So you gotta for me in my personal situation, it's been everything's been compounded based on the moving that we've done. So we've moved cross country twice, and we would have expected her to have severe anxiety or detachment issues from her friends in the last place we lived, and it hasn't materialized into anything of concern or anything that was wildly different or unexpected. So we actually always thanked her and congratulated her, because like we'd see situations happen around her with, like, you hear parents talk about friends and issues and all this sorts of stuff, and she was always able to kind of navigate that on her own. But at home, it was always like, yo, listen, you can expect to have these things happen. You're a girl in this grade, cattiness might come about. You're going to have people gossiping all the time, talking all sorts of nonsense. So we kind of like prep her in some things, but like there's things that are normal that you're going to expect. Like your son comes home from school, doesn't really want to talk about the day. It happens every day. And I try to pick it out of my kids all the time. And they kind of give me like that, like, yeah, it was fine, whatever, and just keep it moving.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting now too. Like,
yeah,
are we done talking about this?
Right. But we found, like, in my son's case, for instance, he naturally comes around and something will trigger a memory from school throughout the day, and then he'll come and share something that happened. My kids are also very socially, what's the word? They're outgoing kids and more integrated in the social aspect.
They're social.
They're social. So in my case, and I don't know how your son is by nature.
Yeah, he's pretty social.
Yeah.
Oh, so then it is strange for you.
Yeah, but you know what you just said just reminded me, because he, like, after he gets home and then he's done homework and he's like more in his home zone, then he becomes more talkative, at least about what happened during the day. Like when we pick him up from school, because he tried to pull a fast one and he got in trouble but didn't tell us that he got in trouble, and then we heard it from the teacher, and then we busted it on it, and then we implemented this. You got to give us the 5-minute recap when we pick you up to find out what's going on, good and bad, or anything, and it's like pulling teeth trying to get information out of it. But then later on in the evening, he's kind of back to normal self and, giving up the goods and telling us stuff. So maybe it's just, they just need a break from the day to unwind. I guess because
sounds exhausting.
Yeah, because think about ourselves. Like, I remember I would never, like, if my mom would ask me about stuff, I never really wanted to go into it, or even coming back from work and people say, "Oh, it was great," and then you just kind of want to be done with it. So
I think that's the perfect analogy. It's like when you come home from work.
Right.
In my case, like I would not that I would ignore the questions. If somebody asked me, like, "How was your day?" I give the canned, like, "Oh, it was good." I just wouldn't recall the day very, very well, because I compartmentalize. I'm like, all right, the work day's done. I try to leave all that stuff at work, and then I'm mentally preparing myself for the home.
Right.
So it's got to be the same with the kids, but it is like there is a transition between them coming home and then getting more accustomed to being at home for that period of time.
So I think this is a good transition into bringing our guest in, because I believe he has an older daughter or some older kids. So why don't we do that and get him into the conversation, and then we can recap some of what he's doing as well on the side.
Let's do it.
All right. So yeah, we have our second guest on Fatherhoods. We got Termanology. What's up, Term?
What up?
What up, homie?
Appreciate you, man. So Term is a dope MC, artist, been in the game for a minute, got a lot of albums under his belt.
Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
All town stand up.
Yes, sir. You already know.
And he's been someone from the jump who's been perpetuating being a good dad with his Good Dad gang. And I remember seeing that early on from
Definitely
the beginning of your career.
Yeah, man. We've been rocking for a while now.
Yeah. So we're going to backtrack into that in a second, but I just wanted to bring you in on this conversation because we were just talking about, like, I'm having some not issues, but just newfound experience. Yeah, my son is in kindergarten now, and he's coming back, and he's giving some attitudes every now and then that are new to me, just feelings and stuff. So Manny has a 11-year-old, and I believe, how old is your daughter? Well, how many kids do you have, Term?
I got 2 daughters. I got one that's 7, and I got one that's 14.
Okay, so your 14-year-old. I'm curious, like, how apparent has her changes been, like, kind of through the years, and how you've been able to kind of navigate, just maintaining a healthy relationship, assuming you do have a healthy relationship with her, through, kind of her changes and, parenting skills, and just kind of how that has unfolded for you.
Yeah, we're tight, man. I was just hanging out with her last night. We got a great relationship. Part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that I had to fight so hard to have a relationship with her, not being with her mom over all these years, and also being an entertainer that travels the world constantly. I always had to make sure that she came first, in a sense. So, no matter what, when it was my time to pick her up, I was always there to pick her up. I was there every holiday, going back to school, all these type of things. So I think that she saw how serious I took parenthood, and she saw how hard I tried, and some of the things I would do, like turning down big shows and tours and things like that, because it might have interfered with our relationship, or certain things that might have meant a lot to her going to like dance, or when she was doing baseball, or whatever it was she was doing throughout her life. I always try to be real present. And
my bad, I got planes flying around.
Yeah. So I heard it, so I figured I'd let that pass. But yeah, man, we've been cool, man. I think she understands how much I love being a dad, and how hard I've fought to be there for her. And we never fight, man. She's a great kid. I got really lucky with her, and we have a great bond, man.
Have you so this is interesting. So because that you were not there are times that you weren't seeing her, or not necessarily every day, depending on your schedule and whatnot. I mean, how apparent were, the changes in her, or the changes in her mood as she was going through school, and, how quickly were you able to adapt it, like, staying on point with her so it didn't, things didn't blow up?
Well, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's, my little one, I live with her, so I'm in the house with her every day. When I'm not on tour or out of town, I bring her to school. I'll pick her up. I'll help her with her homework, things of that nature. With the older one, she lives with her mom and her mom's husband. So, I played the weekend dad. And that's two totally different dads, I know how to be the weekend dad, and I know how to be the dad that's in the house. And it's tough, man. They're both tough, because you wanna be with your kids all the time. You want to know where they're at and feel like they're safe and be able to check on them. And that's kind of something that I lacked, being the weekend dad, But then, with the little one, it brings on a lot more challenge, because she's a lot more comfortable with me, and she's not necessarily like, savoring the moment and so excited to see me, because she sees me every day. So she walk in and drop her backpack, like, "Hi, Dad," like it's nothing. Whereas my other daughter would be like really excited to see me, because she didn't see me all week until Sunday, Daddy-daughter day. So it's cool, man. It's a cool balance, but I got a great relationship with both of them.
What is it like? So you mentioned your oldest has. By the way, this is Manny Digital.
Thanks, Manny.
What is the dynamic when you have your oldest living with your ex's husband? How does that relationship between you and your ex and her husband, as it relates to trying to keep that stable, relationship with your daughter?
It's bumpy, man. It's never. There's a weird stigma in the air. You don't want nobody else raising your kid.
Yeah.
But these are things that were beyond my control. Like, we had her at a young age. We were both very immature, and we did some things that got in the middle of our relationship. So, I had to just man up and deal with it. Like, okay, cool. She lives over there. There's not a thing I could do about it. All I could do is be present and hold it down. So yeah, I don't got no issues with the mom or the stepdad. I'm taking it into consideration that they're raising her as well. And, I'm a little older and a little wiser now. Maybe when I was younger, I might have been way more sour. But as she's getting older, I think it's all about her future and just keeping a good, open relationship with the kid.
Term, you said that your youngest is 7 years old, right?
Yeah, what up, EFN?
What's up, doggy? So, I'm a new father. My baby is about to be 5 months old. So
congratulations. I hit you up on Twitter and congratulated you too.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So we were talking before you got on, and we were trying to bring it to that. So we were talking about the different stages. So what I'm not looking forward to, if it happens, is how they say the terrible twos and all that crazy stuff. Did you go through that with your 7-year-old?
Oh, she's the wild one. The little one is the wild one. I think it's a regular thing. You're going to feel it, man. You know what I'm saying? When they get independent, when they start learning how to use their mouth and tell you no and throw fits and all that, all that good stuff, you're going to feel it, man. So it's all about having patience. And I think my parents showed me a lot what not to do. They did a lot of things the wrong way. And they kind of I think they kind of showed me what not to do. I never wanted to be that parent that was just slapping the shit out of my kids. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we talked about
that.
that with Static actually.
Yeah, I never really wanted to be like screaming on my kids all day like my mom did, but she was trying to raise a man, you know what I mean? So it was like, I guess that was the best way she knew how to do it. Me, I don't even yell at my kids. I don't hit my kids. You know, they respect me. I speak to them in a firm manner, but I'm also like their friend. You know what I mean? So I think in 2018, man, we're very educated as parents and stuff. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? You just got to have a lot of patience with kids. That's all.
Did you have when you were growing up? Did you have both your mom and your dad parenting, or was it split duties?
Nah.
Or how was
it? I pretty much grew up with my mom.
Okay.
You know, just me and my mom.
Yeah.
And my dad was like around, but he just worked a lot. He was always working. I didn't live with him, so he was doing the weekend dad thing where he would see me on Sundays or, you know, on the weekends. And I ain't gonna lie, we just didn't have a good relationship, you know. We ended up getting cool as I got older, when I became a man and I understood how hard he worked. And that he was a man who was working 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, and paying his own bills and trying to help, you know, provide for the fam. So as I got older, I kind of understood a little bit of why he was like so stern.
All
you know what I'm saying? And we ended up getting cool. And now we cool. You know what I mean? But as a kid, he wasn't in the household. So there was a lot of resentment towards him because I would blame him for all the messed up things that we would be going through.
Mm.
So what was the inception for Good Dad Gang? And for those that are unaware, can you just tell everyone what it is, what you represent, and how that came about?
So Good Dad Gang is a movement. It's also a clothing line. We do backpack giveaways every year for the kids in poor neighborhoods. We give away hundreds of backpacks, school supplies, and we just basically throw a party for them, you know, going back to school. If they rap or sing or dance, we let them perform for the people. We bring a DJ system out and, you know, ice cream, just all that good stuff, man, just giving back to the community. And this is our 4th year doing that. The company's is going on our 4th year. And it basically started out as a hashtag on Instagram. When I would hang out with my kids on the weekends, I would hashtag Good Dad Gang. And then it started picking up from there. And then people, you know, started relating with it and running with it. And then people said, hey, you should make a shirt. So then I made a shirt. And I sold a whole bunch of shirts just off Instagram. And I said, all right, so now it's time to start the website and do the social media and do the trademarking and the copywriting and all that. And once I did that, it just really went to the next level where it got to the Breakfast Club. And Charlamagne Tha God word on the Breakfast Club. Ludacris saw it from there. And then Ludacris started putting it on his gram. And then, you know, a whole bunch of other celebrities, you know, started supporting me. Nori wore it on MTV. Everlast from House of Pain started rocking it. And just a whole bunch of rappers and producers started rocking it. And then really like Bun B helped out a lot because once he wore it, it felt like the whole Houston bought a hoodie that day. You know, so it was cool, man. The social media, like I feel like people finally felt like there was something positive that they could look towards when it comes to like dads, because dads get a bad rap a lot. So it's cool that people like really they rock with it and they see it in a positive light and they want to promote it.
That's one of the I think that's probably the main inspiration that we used in order to start what we're doing here, because you know, especially when it comes from the hip hop angle, because you hear anytime somebody says hip hop and dad in the same sentence, it's usually followed or preceded by a bunch of negative stuff, right? Dad, absentee, scumbag, you know, you name it, right? And we know, especially with your movement, like we know that that's not always the case, and so we
it usually isn't the case.
It usually is not, right? There's a lot of other things going down that prevent, you know, in some cases prevent the dad from seeing the kid, but it's not their intention. It's a lot of other forces. So with respect to Good Dad Gang term, you mentioned you have these things that happen every year. I'm assuming that's in Lawrence, is that right?
Yeah, it's in Lawrence. Yeah.
Do you have like an ambitious plan to grow it, or is it just kind of letting it naturally kind of do its thing?
Nah, it's both, man. I mean, you know, to the world, I like the movement is global. You know what I mean? We got people there's 74 tattoos that I know of.
Wow.
Nice.
That people tattooed on their skin, good dad gang. They believe in it, and that's just people that have Instagram. I'm sure there's many more out there, but it's real global, man. And I want to continue to do stuff like that for the community and continue to inspire people to be the best parent they could be. Especially growing up in the 80s, you know, the crack era, fresh off like Reaganomics and all that. We got hit hard bad, where like all the people in hood communities, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, so, you know, Puerto Rican, Latino, Black, or, you know, for just basically like, you know, people in the ghetto, all our fathers were getting locked up, you know what I'm saying? And our moms were raising us by themselves. And, you know, people didn't know that how bad the crack was going to affect them, you know what I'm saying? So your mom would be on crack, your dad's nowhere to be found. What are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? The next thing you're going to do is start rebelling. You're going to go out there and start running with a gang. You're going to... So we just, I feel like our era, especially like my era, kids that were born in the 80s, we had it real rough with our dad. And these new kids that I see now, they're good dads, man. They're taking care of their kids. All the kids I see that are having kids now, and when I say kids, I mean younger, like, you know, 18, 19, 20. They're there. They're in the building. You know what I'm saying? They're very present in their kids' life. So I'm happy to see that things are turning around for the better. And like you said, a lot of times it's not that dudes don't want to be there. It's just that certain things are holding them back. Like they, you know, things get physical with their lady, and they don't want to get locked up, or they get a restraining order, or, you know, the mom moves away, or, you know, they owe child support. So, you know, certain things get in the way. And some people are just deadbeat dads, and they scum too. So I'm not here saying that all dads are good, but I think that the narrative should be changed. So, you know, people like y'all changing it, and we're changing it, and we just want to, you know, inspire people to be the best dad they could be.
Did you have an immediate, like when you had your first daughter, did you have a pretty immediate click internally, like, oh, this is my calling, like I'm supposed to be a good dad, or I'm into parenthood, or did it gradually happen? Because I remember, didn't you have a song about your daughter on your first album?
Yeah, I did, man.
Yeah.
I was doing the DJ Khaled first, man. I had my daughter on my single cover, bro. You could go back and see it, Circle of Life, 2005. She was all iced out with 2 chains on, and the polo vest and the polo skirt, and I had the big matching chain with the fly white polo suit, you know. But that was something that I took pride in. And the day she was born, I was there in the hospital. I helped cut the cord and push on her mom's leg for her to come out. So I always felt like that's half my kid. I never felt like I wanted to be the weekend dad. I wanted to be the dad that was there every day. It was just, I was dealt a different type of cards, but I still loved her just as much as her mom, you know. So we went through some stuff, but I mean, yo, I love my kids, man, and I've been about that good dad gang life since the day my daughter was born.
What about,
I mean, you could
go ahead, man.
Sorry, I was just saying, you could argue that you've been carrying her your whole life. So I mean, 9 months, right? Ain't crazy, right? That's what I tell my wife.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was there, bro. She lived with me till she was 9 months old. You know what I mean? Like I mean, 9 months, you know, after she came out, she was 9 months old. And then for one reason or another, her mom and I split. And so I had to go to court just to see her, because her mom wouldn't let me see her. She was, you know, on some shit. And she was like, nope.
Damn,
that's
got to be tough, man. Jesus.
But you guys split.
Yeah.
You guys split immediately when she was born.
Yeah, she was 9 months old, you know. But it was tough, man. I cried every day. I went through a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of money on lawyers. I had to switch lawyers because I dropped money on one lawyer and he didn't give me no visitation. They had me doing parenting classes. I was doing drug classes. I was doing all kinds of stuff, you know. So I really had to fight to be there for my kids. And that's something that I rub in these dudes' faces, Paul, that when they kids live around the way and they don't go see their kids and they don't try, I'm like, bro, you know what some people have to do to see their kids? Like, you use that. It's a privilege. You know, that kid is the best thing that ever happened to you. And, you know, you should go all out for your kids. And it's funny because I've seen a lot of people around the way who were taking advantage of their situation. And once Good Dad Gang started popping and they seen every single Sunday, they see me and they see all my other homies, everybody they cool with their kids and what they're doing. chilling on the block, doing drugs, playing video games, they started feeling like shit. Like, damn, I'm a bad dad. I can't even rep this good dad gang thing that everybody else is repping. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing them with their kids all the time. So I'm like, okay, it worked.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's changing the narrative at the end of the day, and that, I think that goes a long way. And it changes, it destroys those negative cycles that keep perpetuating themselves.
Absolutely, brother.
Yo, but on some fun shit, right? You got a 14-year-old. How does she look at you? Because it sounds like, and I don't know your history all that well, especially the beginning parts of it, but it sounds like you had your daughter before, possibly even before your major releases, right? So you're probably on the mixtape circuit or something, and then you had an album probably after she was born. Given that she was kind of there at the very beginning, and now she sees kind of where you are, does she look at you any differently? Like, does she, because you've been present and you've also got this fame, and and you spit crazy. Does she have an alternate sense of pride because of who you are outside of just being dad?
Well, she grew up around the hip hop because I had her at 21. So, and then simultaneously, like right after I had her, I got my first record deal. So it was like we couldn't go to an amusement park. We couldn't go to the mall. We couldn't go anywhere without at least 5, 10, 20 people going, oh, Termanology, yo, can I take a picture with you? Yo, it's Termanology. So she would like naturally get upset, like, Dad, why are these people always walking up to you? So the question would always be, do you know him? Do you know him? Did you know him? Did you know her? Do you know them? So I think she kind of naturally got a little jealous of all these people sweating me, and she didn't know why, because she was too young to understand. But as she got older, I think she just realized that I'm an entertainer, and that's all she's ever known me to do. I never had a job her entire life. All I ever did was rap. And especially with Remy, the littler one, I mean, by the time she was born, my celebrity was much way out of here. Like, I got mad videos and pictures of her watching me on MTV. Every time my video be on MTV Jams or, stuff like that, we all jumping up and down in the living room laughing, Dad's on TV. So it's like, it's cool, man. They've been raised around hip-hop, and they got it in their soul. So it's not something really I had to force on them or push on them. That's the only dad they know.
What about it? So talking about music, and we've had this convo a couple different times. As far as the content in the music, I mean, and you got a 14-year-old, how I don't know, how do you govern that? You let them listen to whatever? Did you introduce them to certain things, or how do you go about that?
So really, right, I always try to keep, because like I said, I had to go to court to see my daughter. You know what I mean? So I always try to keep my music away from my daughter, because the reality of my music is raw. You know what I mean? I'm from the streets, so like what you're gonna hear in my music is street shit. You know what I mean? So I always I never wanted to show my daughter anything with curses or anything of that nature until she shows up and she gets in my car and she's like, drop top, raindrop. Your girl's a hot, hot. And I'm like, oh, you know that song? She's like, yeah, I know that song. Everybody sings that on my bus. And I'm like, okay, so if you know every word to that song, then you know everything I'm rapping about, because the songs you like is synonymous. It's exactly the same thing I'm talking about. It's just these new rappers are doing it with different beats and different flows, but they're saying the same shit we was saying. We out here, we the fly dudes get the chicks, we got all the cars, we got the jewels, we got the weapons, and shorties like us, we gangster, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, she understands what it is because she listens to rap. So she, not my type of rap, but she listens to whatever a 14-year-old would listen to, all the Lils, like 15 Lils.
Right.
But let me ask you something, Term. When you had your children, and it could have happened with the first one, it could have happened when the second one, it could have happened at any stage, but did it ever happen that you changed or second guessed what you were rhyming about or the lifestyle that you were living? Did anything ever change?
Always, man. A lot, because my favorite rapper is Big Pun, right? So everybody knows that Big Pun, he started out on some satanic devil worship, murderer, drug dealer. I'm Puerto Rican.
Full of clips.
I gotta show people that Puerto Ricans ain't pussy, and we belong in this culture too, and we get Puerto Ricans known for slashing, like, so you know what I'm saying. I came straight out the gate with a crew called ST. It was 10 of us, and we was thugging it. You know, we was going to shows strapped up and rapping about what we was living. So with all that, it was hard to come home and just try to front and be like this super wholesome, nice guy. When the second I dropped her off, it was a chance that I was about to get into some crazy shit right around the corner. You know what I mean? Because that's just how we grew up. But I guess as I got older, I tried to like change my subject matter, and that helped me with being more conceptual and opening my mind and getting away from just battle rapping and just street rapping and just gangster shit. It helped me write songs about, like, you know, literature and like history, and conceptual records about even my kids. I have several records about my kids. I have records about drug abuse and you know what I'm saying, all that type of shit, your finances and all that. So I definitely had to switch up the subject matter a little bit. You know what I mean? You
attribute that more to aging or to children, or having both. Your children?
It's both, really okay. Both. But if I didn't have my daughters, I think I would just still be on some old dirty bastard.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
You know what I mean? I think I would just be wilding, because it was like, I mean, I think I'd be better in jail without the girls. They saved me.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference there, not having some responsibility.
Yeah, I was bugging. Like, before I had my daughter, I was straight bugging. You know, and I think you guys understand what I'm saying. I don't really have to spell it out for you, but I was doing everything that could send you to jail for a long time. And then after I had her, I was like, yo, I got to stop doing all this stuff, because I'm not going to be there for my kid. And I didn't want to repeat the cycle, and I didn't want to break her heart the way I felt when I didn't see my dad for 6 months. My dad's in Puerto Rico doing who knows what. And I'm stuck, you know what I'm saying, in the hood, starving with no heat, just my mom, you know, on some other shit, you know what I mean? So I never wanted to ever feel like that, and it made me change for the better.
How do they take to your travel schedule? I mean, did they? Well, I mean, it's probably a little harder on the younger one at this point, unless she's just used to it.
Yeah, they it's a little tough on them. Like, let's say the last 3 weeks I went to Cuba. I was in Cuba for 4 days, and then right when I got back from Cuba, I stayed in New York for 4 days, recording with Static, and then right from there I flew to Amsterdam for 4 days, and then I just got back. You know what I mean? So it's a little tough on them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they don't see me for a while because I'm doing music, but I always FaceTime them every night, say goodnight at 8:00, and you know, the older one, she's cool now. She got a lot of friends, and she's too cool for school. So sometimes I'll just shoot her a text and make sure everything's cool. But Sundays is like Dad Day. It's kind of like, you know, a lot of people use Sunday as the Lord's Day. That's cool too, but I use it as Dad Day. It's kind of an unwritten rule that unless I got a paid show or something very important, I'm gonna be home to see them on a Sunday.
So, what's that? You know, maybe this is kind of too personal, but like, what's that real like consistent dad bonding moment like with? And it might be different between your eldest and your youngest. Like, outside of just getting together on a Sunday, like, what is that you guys gravitate toward doing that's special, that's between y'all, that might be different than, you know, just a casual day with them?
I think just spending time, man. Spending time with them is all they want. You know, they want to open up to you. They want to be your best friend. So, unfortunately, the weekend dad, it's a little tough being the weekend dad, because all you can do is pick them up around noon, and you take them to get lunch and then ice cream and maybe hit the mall, and then, you know, it's time to drop them back off. You know what I'm saying? So with that, it's a little tougher, but you know, I like to have conversations with them. I like to with my little daughter, we play a game where, like, I'm trying to teach her Spanish, because I'm Puerto Rican and I grew up not knowing Spanish because I didn't grow up with my dad. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I try to, you know, me and her mom are both Puerto Rican, so we try to teach her Spanish. So we play a game where it's like, okay, cool. Do you know this word? Do you know that word? All right, cool. You know, do you remember this word and say it back?
Yo, let's play right now, bro. Let's just go.
Well, you need to learn Spanish, man?
I mean,
no doubt. But it's
I could always
game.
sharpen it.
it's a fun game, and like I basically promised her at the beginning of the year, like, hey, if you learn Spanish by the end of the year, I'll give you $100. So she's like, she wants that $100.
That's a good incentive.
So so she's hyped. You know what I'm saying? $100 ain't nothing. You know what I mean? That's a couple drinks with the fellas when you go out. But yeah, to her, it seems
That's a
like
fortune for a little kid.
Yeah, it seems like $1 million to her.
Right.
And like once she memorizes the words, I'll be like, hey, okay, here's 10. Now I just owe you 90. Stuff like that to just keep it fun and keep it interactive. We play board games and stuff. We play Monopoly, watch movies together. I bought her a bike so we could go, we go on bike rides together. We play soccer sometimes. We play basketball. We just, it's just about hanging out with them and having fun.
Going back to the weekend dad thing real quick. Did you ever feel, or were there awkward moments on those weekends where maybe she was changing or growing up so quick? And, because I feel like the kids, like in a matter of a couple of days, if I go on a trip in just a matter of a couple of days, I'm coming back and, it's almost like a new person is there. And I'm thinking back to, like, I didn't really see my dad too often when I was growing up. And so maybe once a year, if that, for a long period of time. And I always just remember as a kid, like those kind of awkward moments where you're trying to like figure out things to talk about, but then now looking back, I'm thinking, well, damn, as he as the dad, he must have been feeling awkward. Like, damn, I don't even know him that well. Like, like, what the fuck do I? You know what I mean? Did you experienced any of that stuff, or just that kind of awkwardness of feeling like missing out?
Yeah, for sure, man. My first big tour was with Red and Meth, and I was gone for 60 days. And this was before FaceTime, and her mom and I didn't have a good relationship. So when I would call the house, she wouldn't pick up purposely. She always felt like if I should quit rap so I could be there for the kid more. But that was more like out of spite. So I would go weeks without talking to her, and she would cry, and when I would get back, she'll be upset. And so sometimes it got a little stale and a little weird, but the good thing is the love was always there, so we were always able to repair it. But there was definitely times where she had resentment, and like you said, it would be like that awkward ride where we're in the car and nothing's being said because she really wants to tell you how she feels, but she don't want to like mess up the moment, or maybe she's too shy or too scared to confront a man at a young age, being a kid or a young lady. You know what I'm saying? So I've always taken that into consideration when I'm with her. If she's ever quiet, I say, hey, is there anything on your mind? Is there anything you want to talk about? And it's, once in a while she'll let something come out, and most of the time not. So just if she feel like being quiet, I'll just give her space. But yeah, I definitely felt that, man. And me and my dad went through that a lot because Monday through Friday, I'm in the projects with my mom, and my mom's struggling, and all her friends is like, fuck your dad, he's a piece of shit. He don't help your mom, he don't come around, and that's all I'm hearing. You know what I'm saying? So when I see him, I'm like, fuck this dude. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
and that was tough because he might have just been working so much. It might have not been a personal. He wasn't trying to be like a super asshole. It's just he was the best person he knew how to be at the time. But yeah, man, that helped me be nothing like him though, for sure.
It's interesting, actually. So I'm in kind of a similar boat. Like, well, maybe not as dire as your situation, but like I took whatever examples I saw from what I didn't think was the right, path from my upbringing, and went the opposite route. But you find that most people that I encounter anyway, you see the cycle repeat itself. And so it's something that I always ask myself, and like people like you, like, how do you stay the course and really allow for, those examples that were negative in your upbringing to fuel you being the opposite?
Yeah, it was natural because I went through such a rough childhood, and my father was so absent that I just, without it being said, I just knew it. I just knew that I didn't want her to ever feel like that about me. And I didn't want to ever feel that way. Like, that's your kid. You love your kid. If you go one day without seeing your kid, it should hurt you. You should be upset. You should be wondering, what's up with my kid? Is my kid all right? How's he feeling today? Is she feeling today? Do they need anything? And if you're not, I mean, you got to check your priorities.
Straight up.
Yeah. I need some advice, Term, because you got a 14-year-old and puberty's a motherfucker. my 11-year-old. So I had a scare a couple of days ago. So my daughter plays basketball. So we were at a tournament out in Long Island, and she finished the game and she was looking kind of odd, like moody, like more than normal. And she just finished the game. Granted, they lost the game, but like it was kind of different, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, I lost and I feel bad about it. It was just a very weird vibe. And she was kind of stank, which is not normally who she is. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, yo, what's going on with her? And my wife turns to me and she's like, yo, she might be getting the thing. And I was like, yo, I'm not coming home. If that's what, because she hasn't had her menstrual cycle yet at all. So I'm assuming, and maybe I don't think I'm wrong at this stage, but like, how did you go through that phase? And granted, I know you're a weekend dad, but still, that's got to create some sort of.
And that might make it even awkward to talk about it.
It's
the
probably,
weekend aspect of it.
It probably does. Like, how did that whole thing play itself out for you?
I got lucky because I have a lot of women in my life, you know, so I think my mom, I was raised by my mom, got a very good relationship with my little sister, who's her aunt. You know, my girl now at the time is basically her stepmom. So all these people were able to see the signs before me, and I was able to basically duck having an awkward conversation with her. And her mom hit me one day when I said, hey, I'm bringing the kids to Cocoa Keys. And she said, oh, she don't like swimming. She don't want to go swimming. You know, so I brought her anyway, hoping that she would get over the fear of water, not thinking nothing. And then we get to Cocoa Keys and she's not getting in the water. So I'm getting mad. I'm like, yo, get in the water. Yeah. Yo, you don't mean come all the way over here for you not to get in the water? She said, I don't want to swim. That's it. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I let her be. And then later her mom hit me like, hey, you know, she didn't want to go swimming because she's a growing girl and she's going through some things. And I took the hint, you know. So after that, I never asked her to ever go swimming again. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if y'all seen the movie Carrie, but you know, it's like, it's like you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Giving them traumatizing.
Homie said Carrie.
Yeah, you don't want to give them the traumatizing situations. Like, I just want to be a friend, you know. So I'm just here to support her, but I got lucky enough to never have to have that convo with her because my mom, my sister, my girl, everybody kind of like held me down on that. You know what I'm saying? So I never really had to go there with her.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
That might be something for your wife to hold down. You know what I'm saying? If she feel like she want to talk to you about it, then cool. But I think you might want to let your wife handle that one.
No, my wife already knows. Keep me out of that whole situation. I don't want to know nothing.
It's weird.
Have you had to, going back to lyrics real quick in music, have you had to sit down with your older daughter and kind of break down to some of like the sexual nature and some of the lyrics and some of the songs that she's listening to, or kind of just give her the real deal on some of this stuff, or have you just kind of left that alone?
I mean, you know, like I was saying, you know, where she listens to Lil Pump and she listens to you know, what's Lil Pump's latest song? The one with Kanye?
Love.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Or
yeah, I love
it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a sick fuck. I like the quick fuck. I'm a sick fuck. I like my dick suck.
Right.
So she come to my crib like, hey, Dad, you heard the Lil Pump? Yeah. So I don't really gotta explain to her what I'm talking about in my raps, because the rap she listens to and she hears on her phone or on TV or on the bus or, you know, on the radio, it's already that. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily yours, but like those songs, for example. Like, yeah, like are you talking to her at all?
Well, I think she's very aware of who I am as a person, because I've been very transparent with her from the beginning, because I didn't want to lie to her. You know, she asked me one time, like, hey, Dad, is it true you sold drugs? And I was like, yeah, you know, that's what I had to do when I was younger. I didn't know any better, and I was, you know, that's the route I chose, you know, so that's why people might tell you that, or you heard about that. You know, she never asked me like about the sexual stuff. I think she's too shy, or just that's too much information for her.
Do you ever
to
feel
care about it.
Do you ever feel like, damn, like when she comes in singing that, like, fuck, I wish she wasn't listening to that that song.
I mean, she didn't sing it. She just asked me if I heard it, which was enough for me to know that when she's with her friends, she's singing it.
Right.
You know. But she did, like I said, she did do the Migos one. Like we were in the car and it's raindrop, drop top, fucking on your bitch, she a thot thot, and she's editing out the fucking on your bitch, but she's saying thot thot. You know what I'm saying? So I know when she's with her friends, she's singing it. And that was enough for me to be like, yo, she knows exactly what's up.
So you didn't trip. You were just like, oh, okay, I know she's.
Nah, I was taken back by it because I'm like, wait, this is my little baby. Like, what do you? Wait, what?
Right.
Who doing what? You know what I'm saying? But then I thought about it and I was like, man, I was 9 years old listening to The Chronic.
Right.
Which is probably worse than anything that's out. You know what I mean? We was all bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Lick on the nut, suck the dick. When they 7 on the motherfucking cop, you know what I'm saying? So we were listening to some corrupted shit at 9. So I think at 14, you know, you becoming a little lady or a young man, and you becoming an adult, and it's gonna be present regardless whether I want her to know about it or not.
2 Live Crew, hey, we want some pussy. What was that? Circa 87, something like that.
Exactly.
That was a shorty listening to that shit.
Kids are gonna do what they're gonna do. When I was 14, I already had a demo.
Yeah.
Shit.
I was making tapes already.
Yeah.
Damn, yo. I'm just.
Well, you got.
I'm just thinking, man. Like shit. I can't shake this period thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 3 more years, Baba.
Make a song about it, man.
Make a song about it.
Yeah. And see, y'all, how about this one? Y'all want to hear some crazy shit? She came because my daughter just started high school, right? So this is last month she started high school. And she came home and she's like, oh, there's so many people that's pregnant in my school, in my class.
Oh.
That shit fucked me up, you know. Wow. But it also didn't, because I'm like, I remember the girls being pregnant in school when I was a freshman, you know. So I was like, ain't shit changed, you know. It just fucked up when you think about your own kid doing it.
Yeah.
But that helps deter, because that happened with my goddaughter. Her cousin actually got pregnant, and they were the same age, and I almost feel like that deterred her from ever, you know, going that route, because she saw the struggle firsthand.
Right. We have a lot of conversations about getting out of the hood, getting your passport, seeing the world, different countries. What is it like in different countries? Politics, you know, all that stuff. I talked to her about things that I'm not gonna say her mom don't talk to her about, but her mom talked to her about different subjects, and her mom has a different perspective than me. My perspective is totally different, so I'm always pushing her to say, hey, you can do anything that you want to do. You don't have to be stuck in Lawrence. I know your mom bought a house in Lawrence, and she does well for herself in Lawrence, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with loving your hood. But you can move to LA, you can move to Paris, you can move to New York City. You can go anywhere you want. I'm constantly drilling that into her mind, because nobody drilled that into my mind. You know, my parents still live where they grew up, where they were born. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just I have a different vision for who I am and who I want my kids to be. So I'm always drilling that into her mind, like, yo, you can do anything you want to do in the whole world, anything you want to do, anywhere you want to go, whatever you want to be. And I'm constantly drilling that in her mind. So I think with the whole pregnancy thing, you know, I hope, and I think that's something that she's not ready for and she's scared of, because she sees what I've been telling her, and she told me, like, I want to move to LA when I get older. I want to do XYZ. And I'm like, okay, well, make sure you stick to that and not stick to the boys.
All right. That's the way you con her. You're like, you avoid the boys, you get to LA.
Exactly. Like, you know, see the world a little. You know what I mean? Don't be tying down the first thing and feeling like you got to be stuck where everybody else is stuck. You know, look at me. I just went to 3 countries just this month, and you know, you can do anything you want to do. Like, there's nothing holding you back except for yourself. Don't step on your own feet.
And on that note,
for sure, good shit, man.
Yep.
Yo, Term, thank you, man. We appreciate you.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me, man. If you guys make some merch, you got to give me some so I could promote it on the Good Dad Gang page.
Oh, of course. We need those Good Dad Gang hats.
Yeah, I've been supposed to send something to EFN. I still got your address, family. I'm going to list you guys.
Send it through, and you'll be a regular on the show. We need you back, man, to check in every so often.
Anytime. I know a lot of good dads too, man, over the years. So I'll plug you in with whoever I could.
Hey,
Let's do it, man.
If you want to let people know where they can find you or Good Dad Gang and all that good stuff.
No doubt. Yo, my name is Termanology. You can follow me, Termanology ST, on all social media. The brand is Good Dad Gang, and you can purchase the clothing at gooddadgang.com. The movement is Good Dad Gang. All right? Thanks for having me.
Wait. You got an album that just came out.
Oh, yeah, man. That too. I got a lot going on, bro.
Bad Decisions, right?
Yeah, the new album is called Bad Decisions. It's out now on all streaming platforms. You can also purchase the vinyl. You can buy the CD. We got socks with the album cover on the socks. So, if you want to get any of that, you can visit terminologymusic.com. I'll autograph it for you and send it right to you.
And you're celebrating the anniversary, right, of the first?
Yeah, 10-year anniversary was yesterday of my baby, Politics as Usual, which is a very, very special project.
Congratulations.
I was able to, 10 years ago today, I was able to grab all the greatest producers, which I thought were the greatest producers, DJ Premier, Pete Rock, Easy Mo B, Large Professor, The Alchemist, Havoc, High Tech, Knots, and I was able to put them all on one project. And this is coming from a poor kid who grew up with nothing. I was able to make this very expensive, incredible album and bring it to the masses and tour it. And people love it, man. To this day, 10 years later, they're still streaming it. They're still playing it. So you could check that out right now on all streaming platforms as well.
Dope.
Congrats.
Dope. Indeed.
Thank you, fellas. Hey, yo, EFN, you're a totally different guy on Drink Champs.
You know it. I'm Papa EFN here.
Hey, yo, what was that drink we had, brother?
Which one? There's so many drinks we have. Not Tiger Bone.
The Tiger Bone.
Oh, my God, brother.
I'm still the Tiger Bone champion.
Tiger Bone, man. But, yeah, come back and we'll have some more of that nasty shit.
Absolutely, man. All right, thanks for having me, fellas.
All right, man.
Good luck with that, man.
All right, peace.
Later, guys.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell.